We're the ones that really need the help.
I wasn't aware that there was programs out there like this.
The community has come together to say, we're here to lend you a helping hand.
Welcome to Be the Change. I'm Rasha Goel. And talking about change, well, my two guests here today have been making huge changes in people's lives. Joining me today are Councilman John Lee from the 12th District. Welcome. And Greg Perlman. You guys have been really helping the community with their groceries and small business loans. So tell me a little bit about this collaboration and how it came together.
Greg and I were both involved with an organization called San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission. And I think that what we found was that a lot of times people fall into situations where they have an emergency where they have a flat tire. They need to have $300. And Greg started thinking about what if we could cover them for that one major expense. And so we started talking about something we can do in our district to help with those small little micro loans. You know, those $500, $600, $800 loans to help people where they're not having to face these exorbitant interest rates, and we can help them.
But now during COVID time, you guys have really stepped it up and just helped people a lot, especially with their groceries and with the small business loans.
Today we have about $50,000 in gift cards for Super King Market to help the people that you see behind you in line. We found that so many families are in need. We're constantly getting phone calls from people in our community who haven't received their stimulus checks yet, who've lost their jobs, and are really fighting to get food on their table for their families. And so we partner with Super King Market and a Change Reaction organization to raise money so that we can handle gift cards in $300 increments to truly help these families get food on their table.
I got this great help for getting some extra money to help feed us. Some extra gift card for a grocery store. It's gonna be big help actually.
Right now we're having an overall the pandemic and coronavirus, and this is really help.
Makes you feel a lot better that their community is looking out for the people in the community. So it means a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of people out here that could really use this. I myself could use it, but it's wonderful that this is happening.
John Lee's office is, doing a great thing by giving out some assistance.
We're going to make sure that it remains safe, and as they come around, it's as simple as that. Check their name off the box, hand them the card. We kept hearing in my office phone calls of people having trouble putting food on their table. We reached out to Greg. We expanded our program from the Angel Fund to try to get gift cards. One of the things that Greg is very important to him is that someone else also be a part of that program. So we reached out to one of our local supermarkets. They gave us a 20% discount off of the gift cards. So we got $50,000 worth of gift cards and with $300 increments. And we're able to help some of the most neediest families in our district.
Being in the Valley, which is where I'm from, I wanted to do something, so I reached out to John right when he was elected, and I said, John, I go, let's do something for the constituents in your district. So when COVID hit, it actually became kind of an issue because we had probably in just a little over 8 months, we were really growing. I'd done about 1,600 direct grants, and they averaged somewhere between average of about 1,300, as high as 4,000, sometimes as low as 300 changes people's lives. So I had to almost step back for a second because the whole world was about to become unemployed and scrambling for money. So that wasn't as much as the Change Reaction or me personally taking on LA could handle. When I realized where I wanted to step back in, my first call was to John. And I said, John, you know what I want to do? I want to help these small businesses. I know that a lot of them got shut out in that first PPP. You're in that community 25 years as an actual, as a constituent of the community, now as the leader of the community. Let's create a small business fund, relief fund for all these businesses there. And we launched it.
San Carlo Deli is like our Cheers. They know everyone's name. They make you feel like family, and we're just so happy, to help a business like them that is really a staple of our community. And so we're just very happy to be able to be here and present our first Angel Fund check to San Carlo Deli. So.
The key about John and his team is that they put the resources into the front lines. I said, I'm ready to fund all the businesses, the small businesses in CD12 that are operating. We've done 32 loans to date, and we started April 23rd. The average loan is probably in the $12,000 range.
We can provide no interest loans quickly. If they pay back this loan, we actually let them keep 25% of whatever's remaining on their balance.
Every penny that gets repaid just goes back in the community. So you're basically paying it forward just by paying the loan back.
I got sick March 21st. I was quarantined for almost 30 days, and I didn't see my kids, I didn't see my wife, and one of the major things was you were wondering whether you're going to get to see your family again.
40% of Americans can't come up with $400 in an emergency, whether it's a car breaking down or getting sick and not being able to pay the rent. If you're not going to step up now, then when?
I know people more than ever know that this is a time that they need to give.
I'm willing to go all in with as much money as it takes to save the businesses of this city. What a perfect place to start to give money to somebody that I personally have had their food. This is my favorite food for tailgates before a UCLA game. I'll give that a plug. Anyway, I pray that this is the beginning of a new chapter for you guys, and we're here for you. We've done 56 loans totaling $520,000 just launching May 1st.
And a lot of the, I mean, I've even heard some of those personal stories, and it's so touching to see how you've truly changed some people's lives. So are there any stories that you can share, that maybe a personal story from one of the clients that moved either one of you?
I mean, they're all moving.
Yeah, I mean,
talk about
about
our most recent one.
Well, there was one lady. I remember applying. Her son went for an appendectomy surgery. There were some complications, fell into a coma, and really one of her biggest asks was she needed help with just transportation, gas, to get back and forth from Granada to USC.
I mean, nothing like this has ever happened to myself. So I was life was just a complete blur at the time. So I wasn't aware that there was programs out there like this that can actually help with gas cards and rent assistance, rent relief.
We knew that she had to quit her job in order to be with her son. And so we were able to cover some of those expenses for the family. Just recently, someone who really has all his life given back to this community, constantly give, whenever we ask him of his time, and now he needed help.
Have not been going to work because of the virus. So it became very difficult. So I went and got a loan from my line of credit to try to get us through the period of time, to see how things would go. And so we got that, and so that was helping us get by a little bit.
He had a sign and banner company. Not a lot of people buying those, during the 3-month shutdown. Was facing a mountain of bills, and the Change Reaction was able to step in, pay off that loan, and instead of a 8 or 9% loan, give it the 0% loan, and give him 4 months before he even has to make that first payment to help him get back on his feet.
And I mean, can you just imagine the impact that emotionally leaves on someone for the rest of their life? Like, I just think that's so empowering.
My grandson is with my daughter, and she got her hours diminished at work, and her pay also was cut. You struggle day to day. When you have a family, then you get this money and you go, oh, now I can go and buy food for my children.
And I want to reiterate that they can just come to your website.
Correct.
And they can apply for the grocery card as well as for the small business loan.
They can call my office. They can apply through the website.
Don't suffer in silence. Don't do that. Helping is part of being a human. Helping each other is part of that.
What's great about this is it's a real community effort.
You know, you mentioned community, and I think it's wonderful what you're doing for the community by bringing together the government and private sectors. I can imagine that that's also a challenge too. So talk to me about bringing both of these sectors together, maybe some of the hurdles that you've had to face along the way.
Well, you know, it's really about, in times like this, we have to think outside the box. We're facing an economy probably that we're never going to face again in our lives. And it's something that we have to think of different ways. And yeah, sure, there's going to be hurdles in different ways, but you know, we're trying to encourage people. One of the things I hear Greg always say is, you know, if you're not going to give now, then when are you? And you know, really trying to reach out to some certain people, and it's really sort of engage some of my community members who have heard about this program of like, how can I help, John? You know, and that's really the kind of the best part of the program for me.
When I see the work that both of you are doing, I mean, I'm a firm believer in paving the way and giving back to community, but I also feel that somewhere along the way in our lives, that we may have been in a situation where somebody else was able to help us out. For either one of you, is there a moment that you can share with us in your lives that where somebody helped you and that's kind of been, I don't want, maybe instigator or just helped you propel forward and help others back in your community?
Well, for me personally, you know, my family was affected by the '92 civil unrest, and you know, my mother lost her business, and like anybody who had a successful business once, struggling, trying to, you know, bring it back, but unfortunately, there were a lot of issues with that, and you know, we were evicted from our apartment. Credit was so bad. I remember it was like 2 or 3. We got applications denied an apartment until we finally met with one man who had 5 units. He lived in the front unit. There were 4 units attached behind, and you know, he just gave us a chance. And I don't know where we would have been, you know, without him giving us that opportunity.
How about for you, Greg?
You know, I've had mentors and different people who've gone over and above for me in my life, and you know, there's so many little times that your path changes based on little directions. You know, not having like a life, you know, a life-threatening event, but just having kind of an encouraging event to make that happen. And for me, really, the seedling for this was my family had been charitable back for years, and then we got our kids involved. You know, we used to go for Christmas every year and go to these foster care agencies and give gifts to the foster kids. But rather than drop them off or write a check, we would get the names of every kid, we would get their ages, we would get their actual wish list, like their Santa wish list. And then my wife was a great wrapper. She'd wrap maybe 200-300 gifts. They'd all be named with a different name. So when they showed up, you're handing someone, they open a gift that they asked for. You know, that's that direct impact that kind of, I think, was a great seed to kind of talk about where, you know, the giving, even the beginning seeds of the change reaction of seeing the impact you can have in that case for maybe a $20 gift to now taking it, you know, up to $25,000, $30,000 loans.
Absolutely. And you know, with COVID-19 impacting our community here in Los Angeles, obviously it doesn't seem like it's something that's going away tomorrow. So a lot of families, a lot of Angelenos have been hit. Are there any other projects that your district is working on when it comes to COVID-19 community projects?
Again, we've had great community partnerships with during the last few months, with different religious organizations, community-based organizations about food distribution sites. I think at one point we had about 4 or 5 that I know of that we were directly working with within our district. But we even had a telethon. We recognize that, you know, in the City of Angels, we have a lot of people who are just like us, safer at home, staying in their house and cooped up. And we asked them if we could get a glimpse into their living room and if they could play a song for us. So we have so many talented artists. What was going to be a 3-hour telethon turned into, I believe, a 9 or 10 hour
Oh, wow.
because so many people wanted to be a part of it, and that was to help the mayor's overall COVID-19 project.
There are a lot of people during this time that do want to help out, but maybe they're not in a position to give money. So from both of you, what would be your message or what advice would you give to them? How else can they help out, or how can we guide those people?
Well, it's you know, it's very easy to feel very isolated during these times, and we have a lot of people, senior citizens, neighbors, at home by themselves. It's just to make sure that you're checking up on your neighbors. We're very fortunate in CD12. I always say that when you move to Council District 12, you move there not only to just live in a neighborhood, but to actually get to know your neighbors. And we're very fortunate there. And so to remember that it's important, that human connection is important, to make sure we're still checking on them, calling people, and volunteering. We, in the start of this, I can't tell you like how many people called my office of, what can I do? I know seniors are in their homes. Can we help them do their shopping for them? Can we help get groceries? Can we help them get their medicine? The hospital, we had nurses and doctors on 12-hour shifts. I remember one time the Northridge Hospital, I called them like, okay, what slots do we need to fill? He goes, you should be very proud of your district, councilman, because we are booked for 2 weeks now of,
Wow.
of community groups and people bringing us food to feed our nurses and doctors because they can't leave the hospital. And so they are doing so much already. And like I said, just that human connection is so important.
I think I need to move into your district for you. What? Share with us, yeah.
Look, right now, it's kind of an interesting period because we came in with a small business relief fund, and I'm waiting right on the edge of now, unfortunately, I don't even like to use the word, of the rubble that's going to be left by this economic shutdown. We gave a large grant to the Eviction Defense Network so that they could stay alive, so that we could really get in the cusp of starting to help people who are not going to, who are going to be starting to face evictions, and other things are going to be left. And so we're really, I think that now that we're finally opening up, and some of those moratoriums, some of the other things are going to be gone, there's going to be an enormous need for the community to come together, in a big way. We're going to do our part. We've got, tons of organizations set, ready to go. And when that happens, we're going to do what we can. But this is really kind of a time that hopefully people realize that, hey, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. This could be the time to save seniors from being evicted, from saving disabled people, hardworking people. That's really what the Change Reaction's focused on. There's a lot of hardworking people, worthy individuals in the community that make up the fabric of the communities, the small businesses. We got to do what we can to save them. And, it's one of the nice things that's happened, hasn't always been the case, is some of the landlords we've been able to deal with in John's district. We were able to, one of the things that we provided the small businesses is not only funds, but I had a couple people from my team help call the landlords and negotiate on their behalf, saying, because that's kind of that's probably the biggest expense that these businesses had to face. So,
Especially in Los Angeles.
Especially in Los Angeles and retail, and everyone talks about they got their mortgages and this and that. So, one of the first people we came across, which was part of the San Carlo Deli, the landlord there, he heard what we were doing. He goes, "You're willing to give them a loan?" And we said, "Yeah, but we need you to help with the rent." And he goes, "Sure, I'll give them a couple months free rent."
I think it's very important to help small business. That's what carries America. Isn't it 80% of small businesses run America? Yeah, we need the money. Yeah, we have lots of tenants that aren't open, but I'm trying to strengthen these guys for the future.
So we've been giving other businesses in his shopping center loans, and he's been waiving rent. That's been a miracle. That's a true work in the community.
That's community coming
that's
together.
The community. Unfortunately, not all landlords are like that.
Right.
But
there's a start. See, I believe we start somewhere. And on that note, too, Councilman, I wanted to ask you, I think, I'd seen with one of the recipients, too, mentioning they in the beginning weren't sure if they would qualify. And I think sometimes people are in that fear of, oh, well, I'm not going to qualify.
So this particular angel fund became available, and I was informed about it. I read it, went from a blast from the councilman, and it looked like I didn't qualify, so I didn't bother to do anything. But the council noticed that I had not applied and suggested that I do, and so I did, and got a phone call from one of the representatives, had a long conversation, and as it turned out, they said, well, we're going to be able to give you some money. The question will be how much we loan you.
Just apply, and it's what we try to do is make the paperwork as simple as possible. It's not a lot of paperwork. It's just a few things that they need to provide, we try to make the process as simple as possible. And so I'm just, if they find themselves unable to put food on the table, if they are not able to, facing the decision about their businesses, please, take the time, reach out to us. That's what we're here for.
Are you anticipating the number of applications to grow by the end of the year, you think, or you think we'll be seeing a decrease possibly?
No, I think it's going to grow as we get the word out that this fund is available. It's just not a lot of people know that it's available right now. They don't know that the terms are zero interest, and so there's a lot of different factors. I think we're going to get, our community is doing a really good job right now, and I'm seeing it on social media and hearing about it, of trying to advertise it.
Get the word out.
Get the word out.
Spreading word out. So
Yeah.
could you give us your website one more time, please?
Sure, it's just cd12.org, cd12.org.
And Greg, I know you don't take donations, but for donors who may be interested, what is your website? Or if anybody even wants to learn more about the Change Reaction?
It's changereaction.org. Changereaction.org.
And in our final closing moments, just any messages of whether hope, inspiration, encouragement to our community, to the people who are watching.
I always say, that, especially in Council District 12, it's in times trouble that our community really comes together. And fortunate for us, there are people like Greg here that don't really measure themselves on where they are on some chart of wealth, but really measure themselves on how much they can give back to this community. And we're very fortunate to have people like Greg. And so, just it's really that hope that we're all going to get through this together.
And Greg, any words you'd like to share?
This work is unbelievably fulfilling. To be able to have this many individual businesses, be able to have this many individual people that we've given grants to, for really not a huge amount of money. You hear about this person donated $5 million for COVID relief and all these numbers. No one really knows where it goes. I mean, we're going blocking and tackling one person at a time. And as John knows, we're very rarely a no. I mean, it's really easy to say yes to almost every story, and especially using his council district and their team when they're, I would say a good portion of the loan requests are like, well, John and his wife have been eating there for years, and it's like, it's just a real easy yes. And I think that one of the things, we haven't decided, when I say no donations, we may have something that we start to match requests and allow other donors, because they can see, wow, for $1,000, I can save this person from getting evicted. We may ultimately create some sort of kind of almost application where people can go on and match them so they can see their money really working. We haven't done that yet. At this point, it's not, we're just looking for other kind of wealthy contributors. But this is, John's used my thing. This is a time to step up. And my wife and I and my kids, we had a family meeting, and we've decided that there is no limit to the amount of money that we're willing to give. Really, there's no limit, and we just keep saying yes. And I'm hoping that other people have this kind of attitude, like, if not now, when?
The community has come together to say, we're here to lend you a helping hand.
I would say you have to take advantage of it. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, don't be so proud that you can't ask, because asking is important.
If you just get the strength to say, I will hold up my head, and yes, I will not be ashamed to go and say, I need the help. That's what community is for.
It does help out families in the time of need. It's wonderful that there are programs like this out and available.
What is the change that you would like the Change Reaction to create?
I want to see our wealthiest people in this country become more fulfilled in their giving by moving money back into the worthy people in their community that make up the fabric of the community. And I feel like we're on to something as long as we can get everybody in the community engaged. I feel like this is going to be a game-changing philosophy of giving.
One of the great things is that all the money that gets paid back into the program, it just goes back to helping more businesses in our community.
Thank you both for joining me here today. And thank you for joining me, Councilman John Lee, and Greg Perlman on Be the Change.